I'm in an Orthodox Bible. Orthodox means original. We're about to get in the second book of Moses, Exodus. We'll get a little information about Exodus, the author. According to the Hebrews and Christians' traditions, Moses is the author of Exodus. This is the teaching of Christ. The date, Exodus, which means departure, was written during the 40 years of Israel's wandering in the wilderness from the crossing of the Red Sea to entering into the land of Canaan. It doesn't really give a date, but from my understanding, it was like 2000 BC. The major theme, God's covenant with Israel and the judgment of her oppressor. God reveals himself in his name, Yahweh, meaning I am the existing one. The background. Exodus immediately follows in the timeline after Genesis. God brought about a series of miracles to release his people from slavery in Egypt. The nations of Egypt was judged by God for its treatment of the Hebrews and its rejections of him as the one true God. The 40 years of wandering in the wilderness is the consequence of Israel's sin, as well as a necessary time of preparation to inherit the promised land as the people set apart for God. Israel suffers in Egypt. Chapter 1, verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel who came to Egypt. Each man and his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, and Gad, and Asher. All those who were the seed of Jacob were 75 persons, for Joseph was in Egypt already. Now Joseph died, as well as his brothers and all that generation. And then the children of Israel increased and multiplied, became numerous and grew exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. But there arose a new king over Egypt, who knew not Joseph. And then he said to his nation, Look, the race of the children of Israel is a great multitude, and is stronger than we. Come, and let us outwit them, lest they multiply, and it happens in the event of war that they also join our enemies and fight against us, and so escape out of the land. And therefore he set taskmasters over them to afflict them in their works. And they built for the Pharaoh strong cities, Python and Ramesses and On, and which is Heliopolis. But the more they humbled them, the more they multiplied and grew. And the Egyptians greatly abhorred the children of Israel. And so the Egyptians tyrannized the children of Israel by force. They made their lives bitter with hard labor and mortar and bricks and all manner of service in the fields. And all the labors in which they made them served was by the violence. And then the king of the Egyptians spoke to the Hebrews' midwives, of whom the name of one was Sapphira, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, When you do the duties of the midwives for the Hebrew women, see, they are about to give birth, and if it is a male, and then you shall kill him. But if it is a female, let her live. But the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the male children alive. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, Why have you done this thing and saved the male children alive? And thus the midwives said to Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not like the women of Egypt, for they are lively and give birth before the midwives come to them. And therefore God dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mighty. So it was, because the midwives feared God, he provided households for them. So Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, Every male born to the Hebrews shall be cast into the river, but every female you shall save alive.